Hello again, everyone. It's Natalie here, Head of Partnerships at Codurance, and I'm here with my colleague Rob Gray, our Head of Sales at Codurance. Hey, Rob.
Hello.
Hello. This time we're going to be talking about the value and benefits of the cloud, but particularly looking at some of the areas like you hear a lot of things around scalability, flexibility. We hear about serverless. There's a lot of kind of buzzwords and marketing talk on, these amazing value and benefits that moving to the cloud can give you. It'd be interesting, Rob, this time just to talk about, what does that actually mean for a business? Ultimately, there has to be a business impact, right? It's an expensive thing to do sometimes, so you have to make sure it's going to see the value. So it'd just be good to hear what kind of conversations you're having with customers around these topics.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the cloud is cool. I think there's a lot of people that would agree with that statement. Yeah. The cloud is cool. That could be the title of this one, maybe. But I think number one, firstly, understand what serverless means, because I think if you do research around the cloud and you start talking about having not having fixed resources, you can run multiple applications from a single server. I think there's things like you can write less code, you maintain less infrastructure, you can save costs with serverless. They're all very compelling things when you're trying to create a business case, or when you're speaking to that kind of C-level that effectively control the budget for an organization. We're going to write less code, we're going to control less infrastructure, we won't have an infrastructure, let's say, to manage, so the kind of operating costs of it is going to be much lower. There's no physical hardware as there is obviously with on-premise, and we're going to be able to scale and react quicker to the market, let's say. It's all really compelling stuff. But I think it's important to really understand what it means, serverless. And I think because not everything is compatible with going into serverless. We've had a couple of conversations with organizations that are looking at serverless as that kind of trajectory of where they want to go. And I think a lot of that is because of the conversations they've had with different people, or the market in general talking about how awesome serverless is, and it is. But just like the cloud, in taking a step back, not everything is compatible, and that's why you've got things like containers to be able to house some of the older legacy applications that just aren't suitable for being in the cloud. But it's a workaround to get them there. If you look at organizations that can have spikes in demand, so retailers is a huge one. We work with a lot of e-commerce brands and retail brands here at Codurance, and we definitely have a lot of conversations around serverless with them and support them in adopting a serverless, because you get naturally things like Black Friday or kind of Christmas periods or certain sales throughout the year. There's huge spikes in demand for their website. So being able to scale up different instances, or being able to access that additional cloud compute bandwidth, let's call it, has kind of huge benefits to their business. And when you're talking about scaling up really quickly for that additional resource, the cost side of it is pennies. It's not pounds, tens or hundreds, it's pennies. So from a cost perspective, if you were to look at the additional pennies you'd spend for scaling up a serverless environment and then scaling it back down once that kind of, let's say, call it the sale has gone, as opposed to we've run out of bandwidth on our server, we need to go out and buy one. So we've got it sat there provisioned and ready to take on that additional load for VMs to fall over to. It's not compatible at all, because even when you're not using it, once that spike goes back down, you've still got to maintain it. You still need people that are physically there to support and look after it for when it comes and happens again.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I remember one of our kind of contacts in the industry, a chief architect, was saying they almost see the cloud as almost like a utility, like any other kind of utility. Yeah. And it just allows you to, really drive innovation and experimentation within your teams, and allow your engineers to focus on, the things that actually are going to make you, ahead of your competition. And then, I guess just, talking about sort of, scalability, is serverless and kind of cloud native allowing you to, scale your business more successfully, do you think?
No, absolutely. I think, again, just that the availability of the cloud compute resource, it offers organizations so much more flexibility on how they want to scale, where they want to move into, not just kind of from a product perspective, but geographically as well. It opens up the ability to move into different geographical locations, being in the cloud in general. What we see a lot of organizations do is an 80-20 rule, which is 80% of the developers' time is spent on BAU. And then 20% of the developers' time is for innovation and looking at modernizing the architecture and infrastructure. But the problem with that is if you only have 20% of your time to do something, you're never going to create kind of that organizational change that's going to really help drive that business forward. You're going to do very small, low-hanging changes that impact you on a day-by-day basis. And if you change something that impacts you, you're not necessarily looking at then rolling that out, as we say, to the wider development team. So it becomes kind of that organizational change. Whereas if you almost flip that 80-20 to 80% of your development resource is fully focused on BAU, and then you have a dedicated 20%. So if there's 100 people, you have 20 people purely focused on innovation and on change and on modernization. You're able then to have a lot more focus on what are some of the kind of critical things within our architecture that aren't working or that need to scale or that are no longer aligned to our business. Because that's the important thing when you talk about any type of innovation, is how is doing this change helping our business objectives? Is it driving it forwards, and is it moving us in that kind of North Star direction of where we want to go in competing with the market, competing with our competitors, and adding new functionality and ability into our application? Being in the cloud and working within serverless, it allows them to experiment a lot more, to see the value of these proposed changes a lot quicker. So they're able to, consequently go through more experiments and go through more modernization changes, as opposed to, we can't do anything right now because we need to wait for the server to be delivered and to spin that up to do it again because we've run out of space.
Yeah, it's a different mindset, isn't it? It's like you're kind of embracing failure, really. It's fine to fail, and you can try things. If it didn't work, you chuck it away. It only costs you pennies, and then you try the next thing. So you can get to success a lot quicker by failing at a few things. And I guess because it's so a cheap way of doing it, then it kind of changes the culture quite significantly, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why you have different environments when you're talking about software development. You've obviously got your production environment where you're probably not going to want to do a lot of your experimentation because it's live to the customers. Yeah. But you have obviously your internal environments where a lot of these experiments and innovations and modifications are looked at, and being able to kind of do that, test it on a rapid pace is so much better for an organization. Being able to be thought leaders within the environment that they're in, or within the market that they're in, compared to not doing anything and waiting for the market to move forwards or waiting for competitors to move forwards. Or given where we are right now, there's probably a startup which are looking to do what you're not.
Yeah, especially at the moment in these economic kind of uncertain times, this is often when the most disruptive startups really make a lot of traction, I guess. So now be aware, people. I think we've run out of time yet again, Rob. So where can people go to find out more and carry on the conversation?
I'm always on LinkedIn. I was going to say Slack then, but I don't think anyone will be able to on Slack that easily. But yeah, LinkedIn's probably the easiest thing, or generally through our website. There's a number of call to actions on our website where people can get in touch, whether it's to understand more about serverless, understand more about cloud migration, or generally about software modernization. And we can quite easily have a conversation to understand where you are right now versus where do you want to be, and what does that gap in the middle look like.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Well, thanks so much. So if people want to follow us, we're at Codurance on our socials. I think next time we're going to be talking about sustainability. It's a massive topic and a big reason why lots of businesses are looking to move into the cloud. So we'll look forward to digging into sustainability next time. But until then, thanks so much for your time and take care.
Thank you.